Well, hello people, and welcome back to part 4 of Thessia, our Australia-inspired build. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Welcome back to the tropical city, everyone. We're going to do some really fun network and preparation expansion in today's episode and finally tap into the national road, alongside building a little train interchange as well, and lots of fun IMT and road interchanges too, alongside a little complimentary airfield which we're referencing our inspiration back in Cootamundra again. So please enjoy the hyperlapse, and I'll see you guys when we're ready to build. Welcome back to Live Thessia, everyone. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Welcome back to the Australian-inspired build. Thanks for all the support last week. You guys really enjoyed our kind of general suburban growth. We had a wonderful comment that this absolutely has to be called the Valkyrie Retirement Home, which is a wonderful name. Absolutely perfect, right? What a wonderful fusing of words. We're having some goods issues in Thessia, and we're actually going to address this today because we're going to be doing quite a bit of network planning. And for the first time in the city, we are going to actually tap into the national road network. So we're going to be doing some fun entry and exit roads out of Thessia using this road here. A little interchange design that we can get involved with, hopefully a little bit more refined than Hylos is. And also I kind of want to round out this side of Cootamundra with a mini little airport build. We're actually going to use the aviation club with a little bit of fun here. So let's get stuck in with this, shall we? So we're going to use the aviation club first of all. Let's go ahead and search for it. So we're going to get this in and we'll place it here for right now. And we don't really want it this close to the networks we prepared in today's hyperlapse. So let's adjust accordingly. Hopefully we can have something a little bit like that maybe. It does actually lose its connection as well. So let's bring this up by 3 and then we'll use node controller. And then we'll stretch that out to 150%. And then we can hide all the markings here and give everyone perhaps a little master offset besides our green friend. There we go. Cool, so we'll have that connected on a cul-de-sac. There we go, we already have the plane leaving. That's great news, isn't it? Really cool. So yeah, there is one of these in Cootamundra. It's certainly not a sort of airport that's accepting commercial airliners. It's definitely these little sort of private prop planes for recreational pilots, etc. So we can definitely enjoy some prop planes flying about Thessia now, which are very cool. Also, I guess you could pretend they're kind of crop dusters too once we get into some farmland out this way. Speaking of farmland actually, or industry, we do have some wonderful new community assets. So the Kennedy man has given us Valkyrie Bitter, of course VB, for an eventually brewery build, which will sit here. And what we are actually going to do is get the industrial road and just draw this out so we can come in one day, probably next episode, we'll come and do an industrial brewery build. So Valkyrie has its own bitter, which is super cool. Great artwork, thank you so much for that, Kennedy. Really appreciate it. And then the wonderful Bare Necessities has given us the Crocodile Creek Cricket Club sign, which is absolutely perfect. So I think we're going to have this here, just next to the car park to last episode's cricket club. Super cool. really love that. Just again, thank you so much to all the community out, guys. It's really appreciated. And again, a big thanks to Scope for actually turning the designs into billboards. Absolute legend of the community. Thank you so much, Scope. Cool, but either way, let's return to our little aviation club here. So you'll be seeing that we'll be taking inspiration again from Cootamundra today, and it's really simple, quite rudimentary. And I think we can almost use this as an excuse to help us satisfy a little bit of industry demand, perhaps. So I think that's what we're going to do. Well, I've just noticed he's driving the wrong way down the runway. You alright, mate? What's going on? Runway says should be going the other way. Okay, whatever. It's fine, he's clearly not too bothered, is he? So let's bring out some little supporting roads here, and I imagine we'll probably downgrade these to dirt, actually. I don't really want sort of tarmac landscape here. And we can just see a whole bunch of warehouses along this little straight here. And they're pretty just sort of sparsely spread, so we'll do some different ones and we can do different sides. I think even some of the generic industry warehouses, which you imagine we're probably serving as hangars for this sort of area, we'll just be able to chill out here. Yeah, and then we can just have them there. Helps us create a bit of sense of facility as well, doesn't it? There's also something really cool we can do with sub-buildings, so we'll do that as well. This is going to be one of those builds that takes a while to come together. You're going to have to bear with this one. It's going to be very sparse until it's detailed anyway. Yeah, so if we go for sub-buildings and look at aviation, we can actually grab some really cool buildings out of this. So let's actually flip them around. So it's the sub-buildings off the actual airport itself, which really help us bring in some of those vibes that we're seeing. It also happens to be the perfect distance, which is, if it fits, it sits, doesn't it? We're pretty happy with that. And then we'll also grab this small one too, and let's see where we can put this one. I'll see, do these even need a connection because they're sub-buildings? They don't, do they? In that case, I might even be tempted to have some sub-buildings knocking about over this side of the runway. And we can actually use this aviation club apron here to help us create a concrete sort of distance, because obviously this isn't on the surface painter angle. So we can't use surface painter here, but sub-buildings are tremendously handy when playing with Find It. You can put together some really cool things. Let's have that on there. Send that out. So we can essentially just keep piecing these in and around this airfield here. Let's go ahead and get a couple more of these little concrete aprons here. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Apologies to the aviation gang if I'm not. I might not be. I'll have to wait and see what the comment section says, of course. And then that's a slightly different one, isn't it? So maybe we can have this one on an angle. And then again, we'll use that airport concrete to paint this out. I know that's horrific. I will get the concrete brush in a second, but just for proof of concept. And then I am actually playing with a couple little plane props just off the workshop. And again, these are really kind of simply laid out. There's not anything overly dramatic here to get involved with. So I think I have sub-buildings and a couple of themed props and an excuse to use some generic industry to serve as outer lying hangars. We can really expand our aviation club and hit some themes that we see in Google Earth, can't we? Love to see people using the Crocodile Creek Bridge now too. That's really good news. Yes, so we now got the planes taking off from Valkyrie. That's so cool. Really love the aviation club. Quite an underrated unit building, I think. But big lover of that one, right? Well, of course, it wants detailing. We'll bring lots of fencing and some trees around here in our detailing time. Let's take more inspiration from Google Earth, of course, and hopefully see some people parking to come and enjoy the aviation club. I think we can even get involved in a bit of between network surface painter, which is always a favourite of mine when we're playing with it, just to fill these spaces out. Works great between car parks. We did this quite a bit in Ilos. And then just a choice of select trees. Perhaps the hardwood. A couple of these. Touch of blue gum perhaps. And then we'll get some of that Aussie shrubbery just to round it out. Lovely stuff. Then we can just have that there. Nice, I'm really enjoying Thessia's palette. The whole kind of greenbelt parkland that's developed around the town is very satisfying, isn't it? It's going to be cool to keep taking different themes from Australia as well as we keep exploring the country. For different towns, of course. It's going to be fun. Really keen to get involved in a surface town soon. I really want to get to a beach. But we will finish Valkyrie before we move on. Anyway, let's turn our attention now towards some network planning. This is going to be a fun bit of the episode. So I do now want Valkyrie to have road connection into the national road. So we're going to grab some 4-lane, 2-way highway, I think. Is this what we want? I think it is. So let's have this run this way. Actually, I'm going to use the two-way highway first of all, just for planning out the interchange. So let's bring this roughly over here towards the national road. Cool. So we'll have this here. So we are coming over a hill. We'll use move it in a second just to correct exactly where that's flowing. But then we do want to have this bridge coming up and out. So let's go have it this way. So that's a little tall for what I'm after for right now, but that's okay. Let's come in to move it. So then let's use move it to grab all of the nodes, including the one at the end of the bridge. Let's just sort of eye this up here. Where do we want this to come down to? I reckon if we set everything to the height of this one, that's going to do us a decent job. Let's make sure that we are still clearing the highways. Actually, not do that one. let's not grab those bridge nodes, because that does force it down into the road, doesn't it? That one's maybe a little too tall for what I'm after. Let's maybe go for that one there. And then we'll grab those bridge nodes and then set them to the same height. If you want to know how I'm doing the height, once you've got your nodes selected, do Control and H and then select the node you want to set the height to. And then everything will set to that height. So we're going to have a little bit of a cut through here. I'm fine with that. Let's use our soften tool on a pretty strong brush strength. And then we'll just bleed that out a little bit. Cool. And then there's going to be a lot of network multi-slope required here, but we'll get to that once we've got our interchange done. So let's see what's happening. So let's come into our highway roads here. So I think a real simple trumpet configuration is going to be absolutely fine here. So let's come out with our roads and we'll bring these up like that. But with not too much issue. When we do get this happening, we just want to use move it to correct the lane. There we go. That should be good enough. And then we'll grab that 2-lane highway again. Draw it out of here. And then we will use network multi-tool. And we will ask for a curve mode from here to here. And that's going to give us 1/2 of the trumpet, which is fine. Pretty happy with that. Back into our roads now, and then we'll grab this freeform road. And then I want this to connect from the same node from here. We'll have that one go up there, which is great. Now I think we'll actually downgrade this one, or force it back down to earth rather than have it as a bridge segment. And then we'll use the next slip lane here to come off of, let's see, about here maybe. Something like that should do. Ignore any jank for the meantime. We'll slow pour this out so everyone's happy enough. Okay, got some nice slip lanes here. Just correct everyone so there's no sort of horrific overlapping. Cool, so let's use network multi-tool again. I can always use move it to do this if you want to. But let's go for slope and we'll have it from here down to there. Ease that one out a little bit, and then same thing over here again as well. And we should be alright here. Yeah, it's already network multi-tool, wasn't it? And then again, a little bit more soften where needed, just to ease out any jank that appears. And we should be okay. I think I'm actually just sort of seeing this now and maybe want to just curve this off a touch more. Let's actually hit the guideline there, and then we'll allow it to come back into the national road. Okay. It's been very confusing planning this, playing with left-hand traffic. Let me tell you, after 8 years of building interchanges and stuff, or to do with highways, always right-hand traffic, to now change it is extremely confusing. But we should be alright, I think, today. Cool, so that's everyone alright. You need to now come down this way, and you also want to come this way too. Cool, that's now correct. We also want to do a little bit of traffic manager with this interchange as well, so let's come into it. And then we want to grab our lane connector tool here. And then we want to click the node and then just do Control and S, just so we get the appropriate turning lane things here. Want to do that one, and then also this one. So this way it's just going to stop them from doing any crazy sort of U-turns. I also realise that this one is actually backwards, so let's correct that one there. See, it's so confusing. It takes a little while to get onto it, right? Let's also move this one out a little bit too if we can. Now I think just to avoid any jank here, we're actually going to set that height to the same one as there. And then from that second node, we will use network multi-slope from here up to here. Cool. Grand. So that should give us now, in theory, a functioning trumpet interchange that can just sit here against the national road and do us a real simple job. We hope anyway. So we'll wait for the first person to arrive onto it. So here we go. First people leaving Valkyrie. Now heading straight onto the national road. It is great news. A bit of node controller, more than welcome. Also, let's go ahead and grab all the main nodes and then we'll just square them off. It's going to allow us to do some fairly fancy and nice IMT around here as well today. Cool, but otherwise that's not horrific, is it? I think I'm pretty alright with it. So let's grab these roads now and we will now upgrade this back into the new 4-lane 2-way highway, which we can use as a sort of higher capacity national road, which we'll definitely want for this area as well because, you know, we are still playing with this train only start, so there is no 3-lane highways yet anyway. I imagine we will do. We did have someone ask about this actually, will Thessia remain kind of national road its entire life? Probably not. When we do get to building Thessia's downtown, whatever form that takes, I'm imagining some sort of interchange here with a big sort of super impressive bridge that spans the bay, and we will need 3-lane highways for that, but around these areas I want to try keep it kind of smaller national road. So that's the plan at the minute anyway. Wonderful. Right, so let's come back into Network Multi-Tool. Again, it's just this is basically Network Multi-Tool the episode, right? Like Network Multi-Tool the movie. The return of the networks, right? Want to brand it up a little bit. So let's actually go from here, like down to this way. Let's get a nice smooth slope like that. Now I don't mind a little bit of this cutaway, like they've actually cut into the land to build the road. It's actually quite detailable. But if it is a little bit too harsh, we can just soften some of it away. So now this gives us a road into Valkyrie, which is fine, but I'd also like to now prepare more connections to head into the next town, which will be over this way somewhere. I imagine we're going to come to this beach next, build some sort of surface paradise over here for a few episodes. Should be quite fun. But I do want a road actually heading out to there that doesn't go through Valkyrie. So for example, if you want to get to town yet to be named, you don't have to go through Valkyrie to get to it, if you know what I mean. So we're going to take some really cool inspiration actually from a national road junction just outside of Melbourne for this. So we're going to just delete our road because I actually want to start breaking this down now into 2 separate 2-lane 1-way roads. So let's go ahead and bring this in. So we'll line them up with this area here and we'll probably go to about there. Again, we'll draw it bigger than we need it for right now. Coming over this way, something like that. What's the distance between these two? 8 units, that should be enough for what I want to do. So let's trim back this road here. So this should be a really fun design. So we're going to grab some highway ramps, and again I want this road to line up here, so let's go for about there, and we're going to use this to curve in, and then we're going to do the same thing curving in this way, and then we're going to use move it to grab these nodes, and we're just going to stretch it out into something of a roundabout if we can. I'd rather not have that node there. Let's use Network Multi-Tool to actually get rid of that. I just want the segment. Cool. And then we can have this. That's going to be grand. We'll then grab the 2-way highways again. And then from each of these sections, we can bring these out and over the hill somewhere. Probably crossing over the rail at some point here. And then this one can now come down and back out to join Valkyrie's networks that are bleeding out of the town this way to pass by today's aviation club build. And then hopefully a road guideline here will keep everyone happy and tucked up in bed. Wonderful. So that's a use curve tool for that though. Fantastic. So we'll detail this up and do some nice IMT in a second. Let's go ahead and get everyone hooked back into the national road network. And configurations and directions can be configured in a second. Cool, so now we're left with this configuration. Let's grab a node controller, and again we're just going to square all of these important nodes off and away. And then we're also going to do a touch more traffic manager here as well. It's like an episode of Biffa, isn't it? Traffic manager. so very rarely use this mod. Yes, then we just want to do some simple connections into here and straight on. And then these guys up and to the right as well. And then the same thing on this side. Left and straight on, and then also straight on and right. Cool. So it might look a little bit like how is this going to handle traffic, but it will work. We'll have a nice time with it. So let's come into node controller, and then I want to push these green nodes away now, right? I want to kind of widen out this intersection so it opens up for a bit of IMT. Same thing on this side with the purple node. Let's give it a scroll back. We also kick orange back a bit here, I guess, as well, if we wanted to. I think we'll keep it like that. That's okay, isn't it? So that's the general configuration. We can also now come back in and do some network multi-slope from here back up to probably this one. And then same again from here down to this one. Just make sure everyone's happy and not horrifically sloped. Probably even do with bending this one back in a touch as well if we wanted to do that. So it's not quite as wide. And I think to kind of decorate this up, we're going to come in again with a bit of surface painter and just fill this network out along the bottom. Cool. Something like that. So you can see now how they're using it to go into town. This did happen in testing. So tourists come off the highway just to use this new roundabout. And then they get back on the highway again. I don't know why they're doing that. But you know, maybe they love this little intersection so much they can't wait to use it. But it does happen a little bit, but it's okay. It doesn't really matter. It's not like they're causing any horrific issues, and Valkyrie isn't going to be much bigger than this, so it's not going to get vastly busier. This will do as a job. We've also playing with some new networks off of the workshop, so let's have a look at those. Well, they're not new, we actually use them in ILOS. So let's go ahead and set up a line here, and we want to do this as a decorative network. And I'm going to set this to be a double-sided crash barrier, I think, and then we're going to slide that away off onto the dirt. And then that's grand. For some reason, my apply to all intersections isn't working at the minute. I don't know why. We'll just have to deal with it. But we'll just have to do a manual copy and paste with the intersection marking tool. And everyone should be happy and home free. Tremendous. Cool. I love that. I love a crash barrier. And then I think a little bit of Thessia's tree belt in the middle of this will do us a nice job of just introducing Valkyrie into the area too. Tidy up a little bit of surface painter. And then I think we'll use Bare Necessities Valkyrie bit of billboard as a bit of out-of-home advertising for the currently non-existent brewery. So as you drive into Valkyrie from the National Road, you might indeed hit with a fresh set of advertising for Valkyrie Bitter. Cool, but we can now enjoy the fruits of our interchange. Which is great, isn't it? Really, really satisfying one to watch. Again, taken from Melbourne, this is what I mean, like Google Earth is just so good for doing stuff in cities for little bits of inspiration like this. And I'm even surprised as well as to how well this works. It really does keep traffic going. Handy to watch, isn't it? Imagine there's obviously a big giveaway here. Obviously it's kind of a collision point, but it'll do. Oh, there's a bit of overhanging gun there, isn't there? The gun police will be on me for that one. Let's move it back a little bit. There we go. So tapping into the National Road network has fixed our goods issues entirely. I'm hoping that it doesn't totally detract from the train import and export function that we set up a couple of episodes ago. There are still cargo trains coming and going, so I guess they're still happy enough to do it, aren't they? Which is fine, I guess. Cool. Alright, but now let's carry on with our network planning. So I want to do some train stuff. Hopefully without upsetting the train police today. I usually always do. So hopefully we can do a decent enough job. So I definitely want the train lines to run. You remember back in the first episode of Thessia, if you've watched it that is, if you are new to the series, go check it out. That we wanted our train line to run sort of around this mountain mass and hook back in here and eventually meet into some kind of major industrial and transport centre for all the trains to converge one day. But with that in mind, I'd now like to start bringing in some train lines over this way. So let's see what we can do. Let's go ahead and bring out some initial sort of separation lines like this. Now we are ever so slightly higher over this side, aren't we? Which is okay. We'll use Network Multi-Tool here today to help us. So yes, let's just have this go all the way around here and come through here. Of course, it's all about network prep, right? We can have many different towns or industrial builds, little rural villages or whatever we want to do. All based around this train line, which is going to carry on over there for the duration. Long way away from getting to over there yet, but one day we will. And then let's just see what happens here. I'd actually like my topography tool on, if possible. So let's go for here. And then again, we'll use Network Multi-Tool. We'll go for create a band. Let's have that one and that one. That's going to be fine. And then we want to upgrade this here into a bridge. Probably this one, and that one. Cool, so we'll use Move It, of course, to adjust the heights, but right now it's just about getting those connections in place. So that gives access for the national line to now come this way and over the hill and far away. And we also want a connection for Valkyrie as well, so they can come back into the town via passenger train. We've also got an industrial connection for the train as well coming out of the yard, which we'll go have a look at in a second. Again, we'll do that same thing here. And this one won't need to come over. Let's just go for something like that. We've got lots of room to play with here. And then we'll just go for hello people. Thank you. Great. Nice. Again, we're getting that cutaway vibe, which is absolutely fine. I don't mind that. It's actually kind of nice for detailing. Get to work with some landscape when we come to design this. Bit a few rocks around here as well. Which is going to be fun because a lot of our network detailing today is going to be all time-lapseable, which will be fun. Cool. So this gives the trains access for multiple directions now, which is great. Nice big interchange. We'll get a big forest in between here. We will also bring this up as well. Cool, that should do as we're clearing the power lines there, aren't we, just about? And then again, a touch of network multi-slope for the train police as well. So that one, go down there. Is that alright, train police? A 0.2 gradient? I hope so. we will wait and find out, won't we? 2.2, I feel like that might be too steep. So with that in mind, we will actually just extend this train line down a little bit further than where it connected in. Go for like there maybe, okay? And then we'll use multi-slope again to say hello and people. Cool, 1.4. That is quite steep actually, isn't it? To be fair. It should be alright though, okay? And then what we will do is just reintroduce that forest. And then we can probably have some sort of beach town over here again as well. Cool. But it's not too bad. I'm mostly happy with it, I think. Okay, I'll refine the gradient in the time lapse, otherwise I'm going to be sat here forever trying to get them hooked in. But we should be alright, okay? So that's a train connection there, so I really want this to remain intercity and passenger connections. In terms of where the other trains are going to go, we will now do this one over here. So again, we're going to come back into our train line. And let's just find out where this other one's going to land. Again, its final positioning will change, but we'll give it a big sweeping curve out this way for right now. That's going to be great. And then again, we want something similar to happen here. So let's now line up a couple of parallel train lines. Again, we'll use a multi-tool for that. Let's go for our parallel mode. From here to here, please. And then we can use our plus and minus keys to offset this. Hit enter when we're happy. And then let's also do create a connection mode now between this one and this one. Okay, and we're going to want to do a fair bit of curve in here, so we'll have that one there. It's going to come out, and then this one down this way will bring it out. That's going to cut straight through the valley, which of course is going to be horrifically steep for right now. And then we want to just increase the radius of this turn so it's not quite as sharp. Let's go for that one there, and then again we'll do the same thing over this way as well. We'll hit enter. That's going to slice through the mountain entirely, which is not ideal for what I want here. But it does give us that cutaway vibe, which is something we see quite often, but I don't want it to be that severe, of course. So I think where we do come toward the mountain, we'll have it slice away. And then as it gets kind of too ridiculous, at that point we will turn it into a tunnel with our network tools. So probably about there is going to be a decent shot. And then let's just take it all the way. Possibly one more, and then a bit of network multi-slope or soften out here again. It should keep everyone happy, and it keeps our mountain ridge intact as well. Whilst also maintaining a sort of sensible gradient as the train networks now begin to flow into different parts of Thessia, which is very exciting. So essentially what this second line will be here is that we'll keep our cargo on this, because of course we're going to need to keep bringing industry to all these different parts of the island. So we can definitely keep this as our cargo line, which will throw back through Valkyrie's train yard, for which then they can then disperse back onto the national line and keep the kind of the cargo and passenger trains kind of separate. Otherwise we will be hitting train issues with traffic and whatnot. So hopefully that's going to keep everyone happy and moving around. We hope so anyway. And then I think with this road here, we probably can just afford a rail crossing. I don't think there's a need to. I mean, I do like a rail crossing in cities. We've already got a few of them in the city. But it's not majorly busy, so it should be okay. It's really going to depend, I think, when the next town comes. Again, we can kind of see a natural valley here, so that's going to be a good point for me to eye that up to eventually flow through to another town at some point down this way. So we've got those networks prepared now, when indeed we do get out that way. And again, there's lots of IMT detail that can be done with fencing and trees and whatnot to bring these networks to life a little bit more. Although I'm not a huge lover of that slopage there, so let's see if we can find the peak as we come over the hill. Let's go from there back down to this one, and then hopefully just straighten that out a touch, and that final stretch as well. Cool. Awesome. So that gives us some decent network prep as Thessia is due to expand. Should hopefully keep everyone moving in a sensible fashion. But guys, that feels like a good place for detailing time lapse. Let's do lots of IMT on our new intersections over here. Detail up the train interchange, which I think I've gotten backwards, haven't I? The bridge should be coming the other way again because we're playing left-hand traffic. So confusing, honestly. It hasn't been too bad while we've been doing Valkyrie, but now I'm playing with one-directional networks. It's absolutely blowing my mind. So I think I just need to move the bridge to this angle and then have this one on the ground, right? Yeah, but either way, we'll refine it, but keep the same Y interchange design for our trains. And then yes, carrying detail in the airfield as well, lots of fencing and trees around it, and dropping some more plain props, industrial props around the sort of airfield here today. And tie it all up. So let's get it detailed, and then we'll be right back. guys, let's have a little detailing review, shall we? So we'll start over by the airfield. We've brought in some new fencing. This is a workshop fencing we haven't used before, kind of like a corrugated iron and sort of wire fence along the top. Then we come down this road into the facility where we find more of those sub-building hangars knocking around this way. Then we also have some more parking up here against our main entrance with some bollards. And then a couple of choice assets, maybe, you know, if people aren't flying out, they can come and hang out here, get drinks, etc. if they want. And great asset in choice of the sky bar, right? Well, there we go, there comes a plane. Coming into land, absolutely wonderful. Really nice use of the aviation club, super happy with this. And then just kept it super simple, as you would have seen from our Google Earth inspiration in Kuta. There are just a couple of prop planes, a couple of containers knocking about, some grass within the sort of tarmacked areas, also included the fire helicopter depot as well, just as a bit of fire service, and thought it'd be a nice place to put it in here. And then we also have a little tower out here. Again, fire tower. Again, maybe some sort of mini air traffic control, right? Didn't want a full one from the airport's DLC in here. But it's really cute. Coming over here, we arrive back to some more car park detailing where it enters the facility out of the suburbia before the fence part comes back in. And then just wanted to use those really sparse warehouses that are in Cootamundra to satisfy a bit of industry demand. And this asset here kind of looks like it might store some sort of aviation fuel, I guess. So we got a few of these in, then also dropped in some planes here inside the hangars. Maybe these are kind of like workshop hangars, you know, if the plane needs work doing on it or repairing, then they can bring it over here. And then again, just more industrial buildings around the back. I don't want to go too crazy here, but it's a really small facility in Cootamundra, so I wanted to make sure that we respected that. And then there is kind of a big boundary of the airfield here as well, all this open grass in the run up to the airstrip, which is really cool. I like this kind of distance view. And there comes another plane. Really nice. Love seeing those small little prop planes come and go. Super fun. Over here, the Aussies have been asking me what Valkyrie's big thing is going to be, because Australia is kind of known for having these large things, I guess. Is the best way to describe it. I will reference the Sky Whale and traumatize you all with that. I'll throw it up on screen right now. But you can actually get the planes that come with the aviation museum as a sub-building, and I thought this might be pretty cool to tie in with the airfield. Maybe Valkyrie has some kind of aviation history, so we've gone with this and then also used some after dark lights as well, just to help illuminate those models as you come into Valkyrie, and then create a little bit of a park space around it. So I'm really happy with that. It's pretty cute, and it's going to do us a job for filling in some awkward space as we do enter the town. And now as we leave Valkyrie down the main road, we have lots of crash barrier in here. And then these meander out of town, coming into a 3-lane. I did jump into the street view in that intersection near Melbourne and just tried to look at how all the roads were marked up. And this is the best I could do with IMT. For some reason, all these people are still using the road to turn around. Like, it can't possibly be faster for them to take this way to get back on the national road. But they're doing it anyway. You know, maybe they get into Valkyrie and they're like, nah mate, let's get back on the highway. Then they just don't care. Like, they're like instant nope and straight back out again. So maybe they're not a fan. But just some Royal Palm detailing on the roundabout with some nature reserve fencing. Nice fillers on the islands here as people come in. And then we've also done our lane connectors as well, so everyone is going the directions that they indeed should be doing. Apart from, it's all camper vans. It's all the camper vans making the U-turn. But whatever, they are allowed here. And then also upgraded into a 3-lane highway as we actually come off to make the turn here as well. Furthermore, down into our rail intersection, I've now switched it over so it makes sense for left-hand traffic trains to come over this way. And then we arrive into this big sweeping intersection where we've got a nice rocky outcrop. Ended up bobbing one of the vanilla rocks, which is pretty nice. And then also included some of our workshop faithfuls around this as well. And now this does just embank back down onto the train line. So eventually we're going to see lots of trains moving around here, and it's nice to have that prepped in advance for when they do come into play. As we continue out of the road, we arrive at this little sort of rock wall here that's been placed in essentially like a rock retaining wall, right? And what a wonderful sight line we have as you enter or exit the national road. To come in, drive into Valkyrie. Such a cool view. Really love that mountain, straight road, and these nice rocks against the sort of embankment where the road has been, well, the land has been cut away to accommodate the road, of course. So really happy with this. And then we arrive at some fun IMT and lane maths as well as we come into the interchange, and this also has taken place down here as well. So people entering the national road aren't colliding with one lane of traffic. It does merge into two lanes very briefly here before indeed it does merge back into one. I've done my best with IMT. I think it's alright. I think it's okay. Again, I'm trying to be much more refined than we were in Ilos and just some overgrowth around here. And this crash barrier fencing as well, all implemented with the intersection marking tool, of course. I'm having a bit of an issue where IMT's little 3 dots thing isn't working, so I can't apply it to the entire intersection. It's just not opening for me. I don't know why that is, but we'll hopefully have that fixed soon. Because that is a nice handy feature of the intersection marking tool to just apply it to the entire junction in one go. And then we got some trees and rocks knocking about this trumpet, and then it all just sits really nicely. It's got great flow to it as well. Really satisfying network planning today. And it's nice to finally be tapped into the national road and to not see it totally overload either. You know, people are just coming in and out of Valkyrie. It's all very nice to see, and our imports are still coming in via train as well. So nice and happy to see. Lots of fun today. Otherwise, guys, that is going to do it for today. If you've enjoyed it, likes, comments and shares below really do help me out. Even if you haven't enjoyed it, then please feel free to leave a dislike as well. Really fun putting these things together. I'm an enormous lover of network planning, as we've done quite a bit on the channel recently, actually, especially in Orchid Bay too. But always fun to get involved with mods, especially with the intersection marking tool. I hope it's kind of getting better, at least from what we were doing with it. I definitely want to get involved in a brewery build to complement the Valkyrie bitter sign that's been made for us. So we'll probably do that next week, I imagine, to help satisfy some industrial demand. And then we're probably done with Valkyrie. We'll probably move on to either kind of a vineyard town or kind of a surface town next. I'm quite keen to go and play with the beach in this map. So we'll probably be doing that pretty soon. Otherwise, enjoy your cinematics, but I will shut up and leave it there. Let's thank you all so much for watching. And as always, enjoy the rest of your day.